code, let me turn my phone off, to code like like a poster, like an interactive poster, sort of inspired by like old political posters, like voting posters. I think that would be fun to make something sort of animated. My screen is actually up here today, so if you see me like looking above my webcam, that's what I am looking at. Um, and yeah, I guess that's it. Is that the right screen? Okay, cool. As usual, we will be coding in the sandbox, and I will share that link in the chat. So I just have like nothing up right now. I don't think I'm gonna add any graphics or anything, like maybe emojis, but I think I'm just gonna add text and sort of animate it in. But first, I think we should try and get some inspiration here. So let's go ahead and I'm just gonna look up like vintage voting posters. For those of you who haven't been here before, this is, hey Jamerson, this is Coding Club. We used to meet more regularly, now it's just once a week, and we kind of make whatever, in this case, an animated voting poster. So I feel like I just have to like choose one that I like. I like this like sort of 60s style one. I like the colors of that. It's like not colors that I would normally associate with like a political poster, which is kind of cool. These are hilarious. I feel like you never see like paintings like this in sort of oh yeah, I can just be louder. Sorry, I have a mic that I could connect, but I don't know where it is right now, so I'm just gonna project. I kind of like this. Rock the Vote. When was that? 2004. Good God. Um, I don't know. I'm not feeling super inspired by any of these, but I think we can kind of make our own poster as we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is set a background. Well, first I'm going to add a comment for anyone who comes late, so they can get an idea of what we're doing. So I'm going to say coding an animated vote poster. And then I'll just add a link, join at the sandbox. Okay. So then let's go ahead and start just by setting a background. I think it might be nice to do like stripes. I feel like a lot of the posters we just looked at had a lot of sort of stripes as a design element. For now, I kind of want to focus on just the, oh, actually, I can turn it up. There we go. Is that better? I figured out how to do it. Okay, so I hope everyone can hear me better. I found the sort of OBS setting. Yeah, so I like the stripes as a design element in the poster, but I think to start, I just want to focus on the like key elements, just the text and the animations. So let's just start by just adding a background color. As always, don't feel like your project needs to look anything like mine. I'm going to show you how to do different things. In this case, animate text in. But you can make anything that you want. It can look however you want. And I'll open them up and try to share them at the end. Looks like, yeah, okay, cool. So the first thing I did here is just set this background. I do that with this movie.color property. And that just sets my background here. You can click this and make it anything. I really don't want like a partisan poster, I think I'm going to go more in the direction of like that 60s one, and sort of make it like a dark, yeah, like a dark pink color. It's too close to the background, like the default. Yeah, I don't know. That's like kind of close to, so the one that I like was really inspired by, where did it go? Here it is. Yeah, I like this one. So this is actually like more even bright pink. Yeah, so let's make something closer to that. All right, something's happening. So then because I want each letter to animate in separately, I can't save them all as one element. So normally I would just be able to go down here, go to text, drag in var my text one equals text, and I would just be able to say vote. But this whole line is actually just one element. So I can't take each of these pieces individually, and I want to. I want like one to animate in, and then the next to animate in, et cetera, et cetera. So to do that, I am just going to separate them into each letter. So here I'll just say var v is v. And this isn't the only way to do this. I could also, if I wasn't in Coding Club, I would probably save these all in an array and loop through them. But in the spirit of doing it the easiest way possible, and just trying to get it done in the 45 minutes, we'll do it this way first. And then if later we want to refactor it and put them all in an array, we can do that. So then var o equals text o, var t equals text t. I think it would be fun too if these were all as fun as like I guess a voting poster can be. It can be fun. And to prove that it can be fun, I will once again pull up this sweet 60s poster. So what I think could be fun would be to have like each one sort of be like maybe a different color, maybe be a different fonts, and we could even have it like animate through a couple colors, a couple fonts before sort of deciding on one. I think that might be really fun too, instead of like only animating in. So let me add that actually in the comments as like a to-do. So one, animate letters in, and then two, to do two. Animate colors and fonts before settling on one final poster. Cool. And I find that can be helpful when I'm trying to like visualize a project. Let's say like something has like a really big scope. Like I'm your project manager and you're the developer, and I give you a project with like 7 features. It can be helpful to sort of plan it out like this as well. Border thickness, you change it, Jamerson. Let me double check. So it looks like border width, and I just got that from the reference here. And var e equals text e. Okay, this is looking terrible. Let me move these over. V.size equals 200 because I want it to be really big. This is a poster after all. O.size equals 200. And all I'm doing here is taking these different variables that are holding my different text objects. And in this case, each character, each letter is a text object, because that's just how I wrote the code. So let's say t.size equals 200. And then e.size equals 200. So that's fine. I think it should be bigger actually. Let's make it like 250 each. Okay, that's looking better. It's still all on top of each other, and I can change that fairly easily. I'm not going to deal with the Y position yet. That's going to be the up and down position. but I am going to set the X position because that's not going to change. So let's go ahead and for O here, set this to like 150. So yeah, so if I click this, you can see the things getting passed into text are the actual message, which is in this case just one letter, the X position, the Y position, which is going to be up and down, color, and size. So I actually could have set size inside this function where I call text. I already wrote it here, so I'm just going to leave it. So since I have this one for 150, I'm going to set this to 300. And then this one I'll set to 450, and let's see if it all fits. And it does. I think that looks good. The kerning on this, which is like what's called the space between individual letters, is stressing me out. So I'm actually going to make the O a little bit closer to the V. Oh, God. What a nightmare. Make the O smaller. There we go. That's kind of fun. And then, okay, so then when that happens, I'm just going to make it lower than the others to make sure it all fits. And I kind of like that. It like looks different than if it was all in one line. I might play around with the Y position of the other letters as well when we sort of get to that. Cool. So then the next step here, if I look at my to-do list, is to actually animate the letters in. So I don't know who here has like been to coding club before. We have 5 people, it looks like. So I don't know if you've had experience doing like loops before. If you can, let me know in the chat what like number coding club this is for you. But essentially we're going to be using something called a repeat loop. And that lets us edit the properties of this text over time and actually animate it in. So let me make some space here. I'm going to go down over here under control. So I have all these filters, and then I'm going to keep scrolling until I get to this orange area and drag in this repeat loop. So it's the third down on the right. And basically anything inside this code is going to get run over and over and over again. And it's going to let me do, yeah, Jamerson's been to a lot of these. So it's going to let me do things like, for example, animations. Hi, Chomchi, welcome. Yeah, so this is going to get a little bit harder. If you're not feeling super comfortable with like repeat loops, I think it's totally fine for you to make and you being anyone who's here, I don't know who is watching right now, I think it's totally fine to just make a static poster. It's completely up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do here is go ahead and move the V off of the canvas so I can then animate it in and stop it at a certain time. So in this initial position, I'm going to set the X position to 0 and then the Y position to like -100, -200, just enough that it's off the screen. Yeah, there we go. And so then now in this repeat loop, I can use the Y property of the V to actually animate that letter in. And then at a certain point, I'm going to stop it. That'll be using a conditional. It's getting more complicated. For now, just do the animation. So to do that, I'm going to say V, which is the name of the variable holding that object with the V character, dot Y. And then I'm going to say equals the same position. Oh no, what did I do? I don't know what that error is. Mine plus 15. I'm getting a very weird error. This dot parent dot remove child is not a function. What did I do? Okay, I don't know what I did. I'm going to really quick copy all this code and just refresh my page. And I think it should be working fine. Okay, there we go. The weird error disappeared, and we can see that my V is successfully animating down and unsuccessfully leaving the canvas and continuing to fall forever. So it's doing one thing that I wanted. It is in fact animating in. And if I was taking this feature request literally, I would be done. I'm not. I'd really like it to stop at a certain point. So to do that, I have to use something called a conditional. And I write that using the word if. So I say if something is true, so like if V is not in the position I want it to be, then animate it in. If it gets to the position I want, which is going to be about like 200, stop, leave it, don't animate anymore. So here I'm going to say if V is less than 200, or no, V.Y. So if the Y position of this V character is less than 200 pixels, then animate it in. Else, like, don't do anything. And it worked. I'm going to say it's like a little bit too low here. Let's try and make it 100 instead. Okay. I think that's looking really good. So like I said, I know everyone's sort of at different comfort levels here. Let me just paste in this code. So this is my actual line of text creating the V character. And then this is the code that's animating it in and stopping it at a certain point. Whenever I copy and paste code in, if your variables don't match up with mine, then it's not going to work. So for example, if you called this whole thing like message, and you put VOTE in one text object, then you would have to use the word message or the word myText1 to call on those properties and edit them instead, if that makes sense. So Jamerson, you might, so for those of you watching, Jamerson is saying, I'm having trouble getting text to layer over a rectangle. You might be running into a sequencing issue. So here, if I add let me add a rectangle to like the end of my code. So do you see how it's covering it? I'll make it wider. Yeah, so it's covering it here, and that's because I'm calling it and creating it after I create my text. If I move it before, my text will be layered on top of it. Yeah, exactly. And that's in computer science called sequencing. So the idea that your code is run in order and going to get like brought to the screen in order. You're welcome. So now let's go ahead and add these to the rest. I kind of want the O to animate from the bottom up. So it'll be like down, bottom, top, from the bottom. So it'll be like the O comes up, the T comes down, the E comes up. So here I'm going to go ahead and just like I moved, just like I had here, where this is at 145, and I moved this Y position off the screen up, I'm going to move it off the screen from the Y position down. So right now the Y position is set to 0. It's not set to anything. I'm going to go ahead and let's see, 300, 400, 450. Okay, so it's off the screen. So I could always just animate it in, but I want it to animate in order. Like I don't want O to start until V comes in. And I'm pretty sure I can do that by chaining else's to this if. And once again, I'm sorry if anyone's new and this is like getting kind of more advanced, but basically that idea of sequencing where something won't run until something else is finished. As soon as this if runs, if I add an else if here, that will get checked as soon as this if is no longer true. So basically once V is in the right spot, I can start then animating O. So if I say O.Y is greater than 100, because remember it's coming up from the bottom, and then I'm going to say, I'm missing a parenthesis there, O dot y equals O dot y minus 15. Let's see if this worked. No, I keep getting this weird error. Stop parent dot remove child. It's not a function. Weird. Let me refresh this again. Okay, so the V is animating in, and then once it's done, the O is animating in. Amazing, exactly what I wanted, working perfectly. So I actually think I don't like the O being this high. I'm gonna say if it's less than 140 instead. Let's see what that looks like. Good, I like it. I like it a lot. So then the next thing I'm going to do, post the function text here. Yeah, definitely. So Chomchi, I'll post it in. Just know that it's not going to work unless you have the same variable names that I do regarding like the VOTE. And I'll post those in here. So then I want to keep chaining these else ifs. So else if, actually wait, first I'm going to move T off the screen. So just like V, I'm going to set the Y position to negative 235. Okay, looking good. And then else if, let's say, yeah, so the same as this one. So T dot Y is less than 100. Then I'm going to say T dot Y equals T dot Y plus 15. Yeah, and it's working. I kind of want it to be a little bit higher. So I'm going to say like 80 here and see what that looks like. Because remember, this line of code is checking like where it is. Okay. No, I think that looks broken. I'm just going to set it to 100 still. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for E. So the first thing I'm going to do is set E off the screen again, just like I did with O here, just by setting the Y position inside of the function where I call it. So let me see, Andrej, let me bring that in. Andrej just posted, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, just posted code that I want to check out before I do anything else. Repeat function. So the first thing I do when I'm debugging is just make sure all the lines are correct. So for me, I'm getting an error here because my variable is lowercase, yours is uppercase, so as long as that's consistent on your code, then it'll be totally fine. I think the bug here is that you are changing the v.y code. So the reason that this code works is because every time it loops, it's updating itself. So setting, for example, if o.y is 0 and I'm adding 15 to it, every time that loops, it's going to go from like 0 to 15 to 30 to 45 until it's where it's supposed to go. I think your problem here is that you're setting it to v.y. So instead, if you just set that to o.y so that these two variables match, your code should work. And I'll just post that in so you have it. There you go. And if we ever want to see that happening, we can always use the log here. So you can like kind of conceptually see the letters coming in. But if I did, for example, like log v.y, it's actually going to post the y position of that like v.y property. So you can see it starts at 220, and every time it loops, it's going to increase by 15 until it's in the right spot. And if I did this instead by like o.y, it would only do it once. And that's because it's not updating itself, if that makes sense. No problem. Okay, so now I just have to do E. Let's bring E in. Oh no. E.y. I'm going to take, it's less than 100. Sorry, my dog is barking. E.y equals E.y minus 15. So I'm just copying my O code here. It's the exact same, except I have this number a little bit higher on the Y axis, lower in real life. Let's set that to 120 instead. Okay, yeah, I like it. It's doing it, it's animating it in. So I think I want it to feel like a little bit more dramatic, and then when like all the colors, like all the letters are in place, it can like stop and chill out. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is make the font change like very dramatically, just like flipping between fonts until it gets to the end. So then to do that, the very first thing I'm going to do, I might not get to colors or like running out of time here a little bit, but I think if we like just animate fonts, that's still fun. So the first thing I'm going to do is say var fonts. I don't think that's a restricted word. And I'm going to fill this with all the fonts that I want to change my text to. So I'm going to say, I'm just like going to name some ones that I know are on most computers. I'm going to say impact. I'm going to open up WebSafe fonts. I can't do this off the top of my head. Okay, yeah, George is a good one. Whoops. Georgia. What else do we have? I guess like Arial Black. Courier New is a good one. Oh, so Chomchi, the reason your code might not be animating is that you might just have to flip this sign here. So since yours is on the bottom, because mine is at the top, I'm checking if it's less than 100. But do you see for the ones at the bottom, I actually am checking if it's greater than, because when I'm looking at this canvas, anything below this point, you can kind of see here, the number of that Y position is increasing. So you want to check if your letter is greater than. So I think if you just flip this sign for V, your code will start animating. And that would look like, I'll just post that in for you. I think this is fine. I'll do like Lucida console too. Okay, and then that's a bunch. It didn't, this feels like enough. So then I just need to, I'm just going to make like a new repeat function because I want to change the speed of this one. So I'm just going to drag that in again and not even deal with it. drag and repeat. And then I am going to say, because I want it to stop if like Y gets in its area, in its spot, because then like the poster is like quote unquote over. So I'm going to say if E is greater than 120, so like if E is not in its final place yet, oh, let me actually pause this and fix ChompCheese, and then I'll go ahead and finish what I'm doing. Cool. Maybe you guys watching can help me debug. That's fine. What do you mean E is not defined? E is absolutely defined. So right now I'm just copying and pasting ChompCheese code. Oh, okay. So you're missing an open curly bracket right here. And so then, let me space this out. Okay, cool. So a couple of things. So first, so V is on the top, just like it was on mine, it looks like. So this looks right. Yeah, Chomchi, this totally seems to work. I'm not getting any sort of errors. Oh, that's right, duh. Yeah, so you were missing just an open curly bracket after the first if here. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, if you add a curly bracket after if you don't is greater than 100. The rest of it seemed to be working. You could maybe try like copying it all and just refreshing the page. I was getting like a weird error once as well. But yeah, that was the only error that I found on yours. Other than that, it was looking good. And if refreshing it doesn't work and you can't find the error, oh, so usually when it's giving you a syntax error on an empty line Chomchi, it's because you are missing something like a curly bracket. So let me just go ahead and show you exactly where that was. So it was right here on this if statement. So if I got rid of this, for example, I would also just get like an error on a random line. But that was the only error that I found in your code. I'm going to say if we can't find it at all, and if you can't solve it, I'm not sure. You can go ahead and like send me the final one if you can't solve it now, and I can help you debug it from there. Cool. And I can always, if you publish it too, when this is done and we have time, I can pull it up and try and debug it from your project. Okay, cool. So getting back to changing the fonts until it animates in. So basically, I have this array of fonts here. Var fonts equals, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different fonts in here. For those of you who are new to arrays, they're basically just lists of things. So I have like a list of 5 different fonts. They are separated by commas, and they're really useful for doing things like we're about to do, like storing a bunch of things that we can then pull randomly from to change things. So basically here I'm saying if it's not over yet, and just trust me that this means not over yet, like if E is not in its final spot, I'm gonna make this faster. Then let's say v.font equals, and then this code is gonna look ugly, but I'll paste it in. So to pull something from an array, you basically just say like the name of the array, and then the number, the index of where something is. So that's the first one. This is the second one, third, fourth, fifth, and the reason that that is fifth, even though it says 4, is because it starts counting at 0. So basically, instead of putting in a number in myself manually, I want it to make its own decision, and I'm going to do that using the math library in VidCode. It gives me this like random operator. So like I said, this is going to look like a lot of code. I'll post it in, but I'm going to say math.floor, which is going to round it down, math.random times fonts.length. I'm so sorry. But it worked! Oh, that looks good! So that's what that code looks like. What a crazy thing. And so then I'm just going to do that with the others. I'm literally just going to paste it. The reason that I'm not setting a variable to do this for me is because I want them all to be different. So like I don't want T to have the same font as O, to have the same font as V. So I don't want to set like one random number for all of them. This is fun. Cool. I like that more than I thought I would. And every time I run it too, we're going to get like a different poster at the end, which is kind of cool. Sweet. Well, and I'm just going to call it a day here. I really like this project, and I want to like open up some of yours and see what you guys did, as well as potentially help Chomchi debug their work. So this is the same for anyone who wants some help debugging. If you submit your project, then I can actually see it. So I'm going to go ahead and submit it here. Do the same, and I'll be able to pull it up and show it to everyone. So submit. I'm going to say vote poster. Oop. And here it is. So yeah, I'll post that link so you guys can see it. And then let me see if anyone shared anything. Oh, Jamerson made a cool one. I'm just looking at what people made today. Okay, yeah, I'll pull Jamerson's up. So Jamerson made us a super sweet flag that is loading slowly. And it animates! I didn't even know that it animates. That is super satisfying. I love how evenly like the letters land. This is super sweet. Yeah, really good variable names to sort of keep all this organized in your code. Yeah, good organization here as well. And then here's the repeat function where things are actually animating in. Oh shit, and we have, oh sorry, I shouldn't curse on this. Oh, and we have music. So let me play it with music. Cool. I love it. Let me post the link here in case anyone wants to remix it. It looks like Jamerson left his name on the top, so just go ahead and leave that as credit if you do anything with this really cool project. Let me see if we have anyone else's. Okay, yeah, awesome. We have one more here. Yes, another really good one. Oh my gosh, I'm like very impressed with all of the projects that were made here today. So I love that um, these all sort of came in at different times. So like yeah, like while V is coming down, O starts coming down. Um, like I definitely think like humans find things more interesting when there is like variation. Whether it's variation of like shape or in this case speed and like the actual animations. So I find this like very satisfying and really cool. Um, okay, awesome. Uh, yeah, well, thank you all for coming today. Um, I'm glad we had such a big group. Chomchi, go ahead and, like I said, send me your project and I'll remix it and like figure out what's going on. That's my email. If anyone else wants to send me their projects or whatever, feel free. And yeah, thank you all for coming. We're here every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful voting day. Bye.